I think in some ways I always knew that I didn't quite fit in the way I was expected to. In my earliest years at school, I'd spend half my lunch and recess times playing cars in the sandpit or chasings around the schoolyard with the boys, and the other half playing handstands or other things with the girls. I didn't necessarily think anything of it, but some of my friends did, and I would constantly be choosing whether to play with the boys or the girls. I couldn't do both. As I grew older, I fell in love with reading. Library day at school was one of my favourites. I'd look forward to the opportunity to see what books I hadn't read yet. And my reading tastes too would jump between reading Dad's old Biggles books or other traditionally boy novels to things like The Babysitter's Club or Sweet Valley High. I'd be teased about it, told I was reading girly books, but I kept going. Ultimately, I wanted to still read these stories and connect with all of these characters. I connected as much with Marianne from the Babysitter's Club as I did with Roger Hunt from Willard Price's Adventure series, maybe even more. I grew up in a small city, in a small state, and realistically in a small country. I grew up in a world of conservative Christianity, and it wasn't until I was well into adulthood that I began to learn just how naive I was in regards to the ways and beliefs of the world around me. It's looking back now, having learned my own identity, that some of these childhood eccentricities start to make sense. My name's Cadence, I am non-binary, and my pronouns are they, them. That's who I am, it's the way I was made. And I'm relieved to not only be able to acknowledge that, but to live it. It can be hard though. It feels like coming out is something you're supposed to do in high school, not when you're closer to middle age than graduation. I think even if I had been exposed to a broader worldview as a child, terms like non-binary weren't part of our language when I was that age. And there was still such a long journey globally before we would reach even a semblance of the acceptance and understanding that the queer community has today, and there's still such a long journey to go. And I think that's why some of this has been really such a struggle. I certainly don't want to take away from the challenges and difficulties that anyone else is going through with these things, especially young people, but from my own point of view, I feel like it would have been easier to do this when I was 16, maybe 17, once I'd left my Christian school days behind me. Because I've lived so much of my life as Josh, as he, as him, and now I sometimes wonder if I have the energy to do this, to correct people on pronouns, to ask them to use my preferred name, to make these adjustments in my own life. I mean, I still struggle with myself occasionally to get the right gender because it's just such a part of who I've been for so many years. Because you see, people like me didn't just appear when the terminology started entering society's vernacular. As language has evolved, it's given me, and no doubt so many other people, words that affirm and inform who we are and who we've always been, and answer these questions that we haven't been able to answer about ourselves. It's opened up a conversation, and it's allowed me to move forward with greater clarity and acceptance for who I am and where I fit in this incredible world. I wouldn't change it. My mental health has improved beyond recognition in the few months since I came out. My self-acceptance is such that I can sit in front of a camera and make a video like this. And I've seen noticeable differences in the way I interact both with myself and the people around me. For all of the challenges that have come with it, I'm happier than I have been in a long time. And that's what matters most.